T-Man 978 Chill Review.
Hello everyone, T-Man 978 reviewing Toys R Us exclusive Marvel Legends Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. 3-pack. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I had a whole other different video planned for this slot right now, but unfortunately fate had other plans for me. Yeah, that happened. Don't worry for me though, because Amazon already has another one already in the mail right now, and I'm going to get it Wednesday. So, without further ado, let's look at this box. There's this cool image on the side right here, which is awesome. They're awesome movie likenesses. I really like the movie figures, and now that I have damn near all of them, I almost don't even feel like collecting Marvel Legends anymore. Here's the back of the box. Here's Agent Coulson's sentence, Nick Fury's sentence, and Maria Hill. The inner packaging has a cool Avengers logo backdrop, and this could actually be good for photos and whatnot. I might actually keep that and throw the rest of the box away. First guy I played with, Nick Fury. Nick Fury's not using a new mold. He's using a mold that's already been used and I already own, and coincidentally it's for the figure that's Captain America's greatest enemy, the Red Skull. But I believe that mold was originally used for this guy and or Blade or maybe even Punisher or somebody like that way before this. But getting him to stand up is a nightmare because he has these stupid universal ball joints that you gotta twist around if you want to get him to kick, and then he only kicks out that far, which is pathetic. If you want him to get his legs out to an angle, you have to desperately try to rotate that ball and then rotate the leg into whatever position you want him to put it in, but it is a nightmare. And like I said, he has no ankle pivot. There's these big clunky boots that can go down and up a little bit. They rotate, but no ankle pivot. I hate that. His body is oddly long to me because look at all that pec area, and he even has molding under the pec. Then this trunk area is just so long. No waist joint, but he does have a somewhat of a diaphragm, but when you go back, big hole right there. Under the jacket, you see this weapon holster right there. He has some clips right there, a holster for this gun that he comes with. He has two guns. Focus on the gun. Come on. Not the A. Anyway. Basic gun. It can be holstered here. And he has an actual holster on the leg. I guess this jacket could come off, but then he'd still have sleeves. This collar, look at that. It's not glued down, so that's a mess. His neck is on black plastic with brown paint on it, and it's already rubbing off, and you can see the seam in his molding right there. His plastic flash right there. I don't know if your figure will have that. The likeness to Samuel L. Jackson is good. One thing that Marvel Legends figures suffer from is the fact that they don't paint the figures right. I mean, if they painted them a little better, like DC Collectibles, these things could just hit it out of the park. Anyway, this jacket is pliable. It honestly feels cheap, and really this whole figure just feels cheap to me. His hand, let's see, he can hold the gun in his hand. The index finger is separately cut, so if you try hard enough you can get it in the trigger, but this hand is in a claw grabbing pose right there. It is difficult to get the gun in that hand and make it look right. I guess if you try to force it, You probably could get the finger through there, but I don't have time for that. I'm happy to own Nick Fury, but he'll probably be just standing there in the background. And I guess that's good enough, because what exciting did he do in the movies anyway? But I'm going to leave one of these guns out for Maria Hill, but yeah, lackluster. Feels cheap. Next. Maria Hill. She isn't bad. I mean, the face looks good. The eyes came out well. You know the derpy eye syndrome that we've been having all this year. That's a cool smirk she has. She has that nice earpiece right there. One of the problems with this figure and Hasbro is just, oh my god, they're just cutting so many corners recently. These figures have been coming out so horrible. Look at that mold flashing right there on the side of her cheek. I believe it's some on the top of her head. It's definitely... Let me just move this thing, because I wanted it to be cool sitting back there, but it's taking away focus. But, or my camera is just messing up, period. But she has it on top of her head. And then this hand. Like, come on now. Hasbro is really cheaping out. But if it didn't have imperfections like that, this figure is still good. She's using the same body mold that Black Widow is using for this year as far as Age of Ultron Avengers. Like, the previous mold didn't have this shirt part coming over the butt cheeks. And these holsters weren't attached to the belt right there. But yeah, and I think the knee pads and stuff may be different. I didn't grab my old Black Widow to compare. But just like the old Black Widow, these guns are molded, and that's why I gave her Nick Fury's gun. But she's still rocking this shield logo on her shoulder. Can't remember if they had that in the movies. Now that, you know, shield is all messed up and whatnot. She has a diaphragm joint that can bend forward that much, go back. As you can see, she has a single jointed elbows, just like all the other females. The legs, although these holsters are attached, she can actually still kick forward way more than Nick Fury and kick out that much. So that's good. She also has thigh swivel, but of course you're only going to be able to bend it so much before you end it. You're not going to be able to do a 360 without ripping the holster apart. Double jointed knees. Feet kick forward a lot. Kick back. They kind of swivel a smidgy. I mean, they swivel out more than they swivel in. And getting her to stand up is a real beast. But all things considered, I like her. I don't like the top of this fist. I meant to go into that. That looks just plain ugly. But from this angle, it looks alright. And this hand sort of reminds me of the same hand as Misty Knight, where it looks a little bit too big for a female, but whatever. She's a decent figure. I like her. Agent Coulson. Probably the reason why a lot of people wanted this set. He is cool. I definitely like him with this whole head mold right here, because he definitely has a good likeness to the character. It helps that his eyes are covered. So that's the one thing that can mess up a likeness. One weird thing about this head sculpt, though, the way the glasses are, it might bother some people that it's molded right there and they didn't paint under there. So he just has some skin protruding to the actual lenses, the way they have it. And he probably suffers the least from mold flesh, but he does have some under his chin right there. But this mold, body mold, isn't new either. I just bought it with Chameleon in that Spider-Man wave right there. Even has the same exact tie that protrudes out a little bit. But It's a decent body. He has an ab crunch that comes in like that and even goes back a little bit, but of course the jacket is going to be hindered. Sometimes you might see his shirt underneath of his jacket, depending on how you have him posed, which can be a bit ugly. He has the same articulation as most other male Marvel Legends figures, but let me just show you his shoulder lifts up that much. So you'll have to rotate it if you want it to get high. You can look down that much, look up that much. And he has a bit of an Adam's apple. But yeah, same articulation. I'm trying to highlight the things that might be important to people, like this ankle pivot. The foot can kick forward, not at all, and it can only kick down that much. But how much of an action pose do you want somebody in a suit like this to be in? But this hand is way more open, which is good for holding a gun like that or poses like that. And of course he can grab that. That's how I started things. His BFG looks like multiple guns snapped onto each other. That scope isn't removable. It almost looks like it. It's made out of a semi-soft plastic in certain areas. Most of the paint is just in the front right there. Well, all of the paint is in the front right there. It is definitely nicely molded. But yeah, he's cool. Let me take his head off and put this head on. He has decent eyes as well, just like Maria. Doesn't have derp eye too much. He has some flesh on his ear right there. In fact, his ear looks a little bit weird from certain angles because of how high his hairline is over his ear. But and under his chin, it didn't come out as bad as the sunglass version. So, yeah. I like him. He's definitely cool. So yeah, this set is cool. Nick Fury, he brings the set down. He's just so boring and not fun to play with out of everybody. He's barely posable and he's just not fun. Even though he does have those gun holsters and whatnot. Ugh. Coulson is the star to me. One thing to mention that I didn't, he can't hold a gun in that hand. Maria, didn't mention her excellent neck pivot right here. I don't know if I actually showed it off, but she has some very good neck pivot, even though she just has a single ball right there. But yeah, I didn't pay full price for this set. Luckily, they dropped the price to about $20 at the Toys R Us I was at. That should be nationwide, but do not get this set for full price. In fact, I didn't even pay that $20. I paid $10, and I was like, yeah, let me finally get it. But Hasbro's just so freaking cheap. I went into that. That annoys the hell out of me. It makes me want to just stop collecting Hasbro toys, period. And especially now that I've started experiencing other action figures from other brands. They just, ugh. And those brands are limited releases in most cases. These, I don't know how the financial stuff works behind the scenes, but man, these are major releases everywhere. I would like to think that Hasbro has enough money, and this right here is a Toys R Us exclusive that was priced at $50 and probably above when it first came out. So if you're going to be exclusive, man, you would think they would go out of their way to make this the best there possibly is, but they didn't. Luckily, these two came out mostly decent. But anyway, thank you for watching. If you want to see more from me, please subscribe so you won't miss any of my future videos. T-Man 978, out of here.